This is the Brewer and the Baker, a baseball card podcast.
Come on, get up!
Where two collectors share their journey through the hobby.
Yeah.
Here are your hosts, Mitch and Dan.
Times static attic vibe is what we provide for your mind, so you can step aside and wind down upon the lyrical find, the steady rockin' over calibrated fusion divine.
All right, and yeah. I botched that intro. I'm sorry.
Right.
I also kicked Leo. Leo.
Poor puppy.
Yeah, didn't mean to. But welcome in, folks. I'm the brewer.
I'm the baker, and my Royals suck.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, God.
Blown leads, blown games, everything. This is episode 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, 23. Okay. Sorry, I knew that's why I put it up there. But we think we've got a pretty fun one, at least fairly informative one for you today. But
we have a guest.
Yeah, we have a guest. Dan.
Jason Simonds. Simonds. He is. He works for Heritage. I think he's an acquisition guy. I'm not exactly sure of his job title.
Consignment Director.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm super excited.
Yeah. You're skipping ahead, Dan.
I know. So we're very excited. We're going to talk Heritage. They've got a big auction coming up here in next month, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that at the end of our interview. But we're going to talk about his job and what it entails. And
so
before we get to that,
yeah, real quick hobby
update. It's been 3 weeks since we last actually recorded. So in that time, I picked up a Mike Moustakas 1 of 1.
Very nice.
Yeah,
it's quite interesting.
Yes. So it's the 2012 Triple Threads 3 relic patch card. The windows read Moose Tacos. It's kind of a Moose Tacos. His Instagram is actually Moose Tacos 8.
Okay. Was that before or after?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay. That'd be...
Yeah.
Get back to me, Dan.
Okay. It's kind of an infamous card among Royals collectors. So I was happy to pick this up. It was actually a heck of a lot cheaper than I thought it was going to be. I don't mind telling you because it's easy to look up. With taxes and everything, it was just over $80, which was incredible. It's a BGS 8. I'm considering busting it out because I don't like the paper flip that the 8s have on BGS. I love generally the slabs that BGS has, but I don't like the paper flip that the 8s have. Haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet or not, though.
And something that's probably not leaving the PC.
Not anytime soon. No.
Okay, but it's always on the table.
Everything has a price.
It's
fair. A lot more than $80, though.
Okay. Only thing, I shouldn't say only thing. I've been mainly dollar bin shopping, so picked up like 3 things for under $5 combined. And then Dan went to a show this last weekend and picked up 2 Project 2020 cards for me. It's the Griffey, it's the 89 traded Griffey. Who was the artist on this one? Oh, Hermsey.
Hermsey?
Yeah.
Right.
And then the 59 Gibson, same artist, yeah. So I love art cards. I love the look of those. I find them very fun because it feels like I shouldn't say actually collecting art. I mean, we've talked about photography as art, and it just gives another layer to that as well.
Sure.
For me. So
one other thing before we get to Jason. We are going to announce that we're going to put that list of top 10 iconic cards that Mitch and I kind of put out there on our last episode. We would like to have you guys vote and rank those for us.
Yep.
Now, if you remember, we skipped the 52 Mantle, the Wagner, and the T206 Wagner and the 33 Gaudy Babe Ruth, because those are, in internet parlance, those are S-tier cards.
Yeah.
Those are never going to be beat. Those are going to be like the 3 biggest, so I don't even want to those are going to be on the list. So that's boring, and we know that.
Yeah.
So we came up with 10 others. I'd like to very quickly recap those. And then what we're going to do is the Monday after this episode releases, I'm going to put, 5 or 6 out there on Monday. I'll have you give me a rating between A, B, C, or D. I will have a number assigned to those. And then I'll do that until we get through all 19 of the cards that we have, because we do have a couple overlap.
Couple overlaps, and I can't count.
And then once all those are through, I will add up and then average, and whoever will rank the top 10 by lowest number. So whichever one has the lowest number will be number 1, second lowest will be number 2, down the line. So very quickly, going to recap Mitch's list. He started with the 85 Topps McGuire. After that, he went with the 59 Topps Gibson, Bob Gibson. After that, these are not in order, by the way. He did not. None of ours are in ranking order that we believe. It's just what we listed first. After that, the 55 Clemente. Then the 90 Topps Thomas No Name. 93 SP Jeter. The 51 Bowman Mantle. The 01 Topps Ichiro Suzuki card. The 2018 Topps Update Ohtani batting. And the 2006, and this is a wild card. I don't think it's going to do very well, but I like it because I have it. The 2006 Topps Alex Gordon cutout. So, Jason, just curious, what do you think of Mitch's list?
I think you're missing a big one.
Oh,
did I not hear 89 Upper Deck Griffey?
Oh, well, give me a sec, because we actually both said that.
Yeah, it was overlap on there, and Dan's going to take credit for it.
The overlap that we both said 89 Upper Deck Griffey, and we both said the 24 Skeens rookie debut patch card.
Okay, all right.
So we both said that.
All right. Yeah, because all right. So working through that list, you had Clemente, 55 Clemente, but did you have Koufax?
We do not have Koufax on the list.
Okay. One of the best, left-handed pictures ever.
Yeah.
2011 Bowman Trout auto. Right?
So I put out like a short honorable mention, and I have the 01 or sorry, I have the 11 update Trout on the list.
Okay.
I did not do the Bowman autograph.
I guess the update's I would probably have the update higher. It's funny because I went through this exercise. Adam Gray recently published, I think, the 50 most iconic cards. Mm-hmm. Or no, the 25 most iconic cards of the past 25 years in honor of 2025. And I believe I put the Trout as number 1, the update Trout, either number 1 or number 2, because it's probably the modern rookie card.
I tend to agree. I put it on my, like I said, my honorable mention because I think there are more important cards.
Sure.
So here's the 8 that I
All right, let's hear
it. That I put here. So first, the 1999 Upper Deck A Piece of History Ruth bat card.
Okay.
The 1989 Fleer Billy Ripken F-Face card. The 2018 Bowman Chrome Ohtani autograph card. The 97 Upper Deck Griffey game jersey. The 1956 Jackie Robinson. The 53 Satchel Paige. The 90 Score Bo Jackson. That's the one with the bat on the shoulder pads. Yeah. And finally, the 94 Upper Deck Griffey Mantle autograph card.
Love that card.
So there's the 8 that sans the Griffey and the Skeens that we both mentioned. So there's my 10.
Not much vintage.
Not a whole lot. I unfortunately I don't know a whole lot of vintage. I am trying to get into it, but as a Royals fan, I don't have a whole lot of vintage to get, and I've already got the Brett, which is on the list. It's on the honorable mentions list. I don't have a whole lot of experience. I wish I did. I'm getting into it. I'm slowly collecting some vintage, but I don't have a lot, and I'm not totally fully in it.
Yeah, and I mean, me personally, I've been trying to learn as much as I can about the hobby, and kind of wanted also I wanted to kind of do it through the decade and pick a few from each as I was looking into stuff.
A lot of big 60s cards.
There were.
Rookie, you got a Ryan rookie, you got I just try to go through the 70s. I mean, 71 Thurman Munson, one of the best action shot photos in a card ever, right? You have the Brett, the Brett rookie, even like Eddie Murray rookie or
I have the Eddie
Smith.
Murray rookie.
Ricky, 1980 Topps Ricky Henderson.
Yeah.
Also
I
on that, I know that one was on the honorable
Yeah.
mentions list. I don't like many of the photographs in late 70s, early 80s Topps.
It's also a collector shift,
It
like
is.
in taste. You go to a card show, and if you actually polled people, like, all right, how many people who here has seen Mickey Mantle play baseball in person?
Yeah.
And I bet you it's fewer than 5%. It's probably fewer than 2%. It's probably low single digits.
Sure.
And people are, then you just keep on going back. And once we're further and further generations away from it, I mean, the iconic cards, I mean, there isn't a single iconic card on either of your lists that's, I think, older than 55 Clemente.
He had the 51 mantle.
51
He had the
mantle.
51 mantle at the 53 Satchel Paige.
So like 40
that's it.
Leaf, Jackie.
It's
Good card.
iconic. I absolutely hate both the 49 Bowman Leaf, both 49 Bowman Robinson and the Leaf Robinson. Their image is terrible. They're not good, which is unfortunate because I otherwise really like those cards. But his image is terrible. It's not good.
Yeah.
That's just me being an aesthetic snob though. So.
Yeah.
All right, we're actually kind of starting to get into this, so let's get into it. Hi, Jason. Hey, so before we get into your job and what it entails, what's your background? Did you collect baseball or any cards when you were a kid?
Yeah. I mean, you can't really have a career in baseball cards if you never collected. My dad was a collector, not of sports, but he was into antiques and bottles and stamps, and he would drag me to flea markets every weekend, and I would go off and try to find baseball cards or football or anything in that field. And my first collection was mostly built with 50-cent flea market cards that I found scrounging through boxes, and I had grown to love it. I was big into the message boards. Before Facebook became a huge thing, it was like Collectors Universe Forum or Net 54 or one of any of those, and I loved it. I spent days, hours on those places, and I would go on eBay. Every time auction catalog I'd go through the auction catalogs. I couldn't afford them, but I would go through and find stuff. And then probably sometime around high school or middle school, I started to buy up stuff to resell it. I got on eBay, and I was buying and selling, and I was making pretty good money doing that. And I was I had a full-time job. I went to school. I had my master's in accounting. I don't use my master's anymore, but I went to school for a real job, and I was making more money buying and selling baseball cards than I was, during my day job. And it was maybe about 6 years ago at this point where I reached out to the guys at Heritage, and I had done a lot of business with Heritage, buying and selling, and I knew some of the guys there. And I reached out to them and said, "Hey, do you need anyone?" And they said, "Yeah, no, actually we do." And it's been great. I haven't looked back.
I don't want to say we all kind of started with the 50-cent card. I mean, I'm still, one of my guilty pleasures is just digging through dollar boxes. I just love sitting down, looking at, finding those sorts of things. I mean, I won't say you never know what you're going to find in there. And then, yeah, I'm slowly trying to build myself and trying to work up to, I don't know if I've ever done a transaction over, well, no, I take it back, that bonds. I was going to say, I don't think I've done a transaction over $200 or $300. So, I'm still small fish in that pond.
I love that you just fired off an email and they say, "Hey, looking for a job. You need anybody?" I love it. Not even a resume.
It's funny. I reached out, and I had this great interview with a guy named Rob Rosen, who's at Heritage, and a great guy. Great interview. And you can tell usually when you're talking to someone in this space who really knows their stuff about this. And it was very clear we're having a great conversation. We knew a lot of the same people. We knew the industry, and he said, "Do you want to move to Dallas?" And I was just like, "No." not at all. And he's like, "Okay, great. Well, we'll let you know." And then he just ghosted me. And I think it was maybe about 4 or 5 months later, I was just looking at the careers page, and I saw that they specifically posted New York sports card specialist. And I was like, well, shoot. So I reached out to Rob again, and he kept ghosting me on this.
Oh,
and
no.
So I reached out to the other guys, and he was like, "Hey, do you need anyone?" And yeah, we do.
Do you still collect or
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do.
What's your collection look like? I'm curious.
You know what? My collection, when I come across something that I think is cool, or interesting, I will pick it up. Recently, I've been getting more and more into. So I'm 35. So I was, buying up hobby boxes. Early 2000s. That's when. I'm just nostalgic for a lot of cards in the early 2000s to late 2000s, because that's sort of that prime period where you're seeing things, you're looking through the window at the hobby shop, and you see the cool cards that just came out, but you just can't afford them. And so for me, I've been going back and finding some of those cards that I really liked from that 2000, maybe late 90s into 2010. And so recently, I'm trying to think of what I bought recently. I bought a bunch of MLB logo men from 2003, 2004, 2005. The big one that I'm really, really, really happy about is I bought a Albert Pujols logo man card because he was the GOAT for me. That and a lot of baseball, but it's mostly been in that period.
Okay.
So I'm sure I don't need to tell you, the 90s stuff is completely taken off. I think that middle 2000s era is going to be the next thing that takes off here, personally.
This hobby is very predictable. In the 80s, when baseball card when adults got permission to collect baseball cards, I guess it was because they were nostalgic for Mantle and Mays and Aaron and Ted Williams. And then suddenly 60s cards pop up a little bit later when people are starting to get nostalgic for Nolan Ryan and for some of those guys, for Tom Seaver, and then Clemente, and then it just progresses. And then, suddenly 80s cards, some of this stuff is popping up because you have people who are nostalgic who look back and think, Barry Bonds was actually pretty good at baseball. And so I think that, all you have to do is just wait that like 30-year time horizon for any of this stuff. And people will look back when they have disposable income, when you have that, right now, there is a 9-year-old who is opening up packs of cards and seeing debut patches being hit that they will never be able to afford, or they won't be able to afford until they're 39 years old. And then they'll be going back and buying this stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's just it's just cyclical. We're really just peddling in nostalgia. So for me, I am doing okay in life. I am nostalgic for 2000s baseball cards. Early 2000s baseball cards.
All right. So what typically, what range of cards, price range, types, what typically comes across your desk, or just in general in auctions? And are many of those lots, or like, are you getting full collections, or is it singles? I mean,
everything. So auction houses are a resource. We try to help anyone who comes across, and I get dozens and dozens of inquiries a day. I get hundreds of people who reach out each week, and we try not to leave anyone stranded. Sometimes it's just not something for us. You get the guys who have just pick tubs and tubs of late 80s, early 90s, just junk, and I'm not going to say, oh yeah, send a picture of 10,000 cards. I'll look through it. But we come across a lot of tremendous collections, and whether it's a set run or whether it's just a massive vintage collection, we try to take just about everything. We'll cut it off right around that junk wax era, but it in terms of price ranges, we sell everything from a couple $100 to $24 million was the most expensive sports item we sold. And it really is just a complete spectrum what you see. So we just the other day, I took in a set run. It was a 53 tops to 75 tops run, and we'll sell it as each individual set. None of the conditions were anything extraordinary, so I'm not going to peel out the 53 mantle because I think it's a PSA 2, so we'd sell it as a 53 top set, and then as a 54 top set, 55. But sometimes you get shoebox collections or partial sets, and some of these are really, really, really long consignments. I have people who we have been working through their material for years.
Wow.
Literally years. Selling everything from little tiny shoebox collections of that are going to sell for $150 to massive items that are newsworthy almost.
Yeah, that's wild. I know after the National, I was out on I was looking at movie posters. That's something that before I got into cards, I was nostalgic for. Was like, I would love a Raiders or a Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones movie posters, like original, that sort of stuff. And I know we're card show, we need to talk about cards, but just feels like it's good to see people's collections taken care of in good hands and getting into the hands of somebody that is looking to enjoy it, I guess, is kind of where I'm going with that. Is you're finding the right buyer for versus it getting lost at a flea market again. Because I could see those lots just walking away, being put up at a garage sale and somebody just walking away with it and, not knowing what,
It's a real thing. It's a lot of the people I deal with, most of the people I deal with really are people who are outside the hobby. So they are people who are looking for assistance because they have something that they're unfamiliar with. And it's, of course I deal with a lot of dealers. I deal with a lot of very savvy, hobbyists who they have, a 52 Tops Mickey Mantle, and they want to sell it as a single. And it's just one item, and it's a very transactional, a relationship. But then you also have the, family whose father had passed away, who has just this room of cards, and he didn't do anything to prepare them for this. And so walking into that, trying to figure out, okay, well, if this were my collection, how do I break this down, and how do I get the most money possible for this? Because ultimately, I'm dealing with a lot of people who this is the most expensive thing they will sell aside from their house. And this is, material money for a lot of people. So, it's important that you do it right. It's important that you break it down in a way that really gets the most money possible for these people, and it's also really important that you give them just sound advice on this is what you have, this is what it's worth, and if you are thinking about selling it, these are the next steps that I would recommend.
So piggybacking off of that, is there a particular sale that you can think of that you're proud of, or anything along those lines? Is there one that comes to mind?
There's a couple. One that I really enjoy and I really like telling people is there was once a woman whose husband had unfortunately passed away down in Maryland, and she had asked for help with her card collection. And she was a little bit older woman, and she was able to provide me like this list, but the list was it was she may have actually written out each individual card. Like there was like maybe 20 or 30,000 lines. It was an Excel, and she killed me with data. Like, she listed everything from her 1995 Chipper Jones card to whatever, and finding the valuable material in that is next to impossible. And so she, I'm in New York, she was in Maryland. It's probably like a 4-hour drive or so, and she's like, I'd really like for you to come down here. Really like for you to come down here. And I'm like trying to avoid driving to, spending 8 hours in the car driving down for a collection that I really just cannot tell what's in this collection. Yeah. But eventually I was like, okay, I'll come down. And I came down, and the cards were nice. The cards were great. They had partial sets, and there were some pretty good ones, and she did fairly well on the cards. But as we were talking, I asked about her husband, what he did, and he was a ball boy for the Washington Senators as a kid. He was with the visiting team in the visiting team dugout for 1 year. 1956, which was just like an interesting tidbit to me. And then I was like, okay, that's really, really cool. And as I'm going through some of this stuff, I find some bats, and one of the bats that I see is a Mickey Mantle bat. Oh. And it just, to me, it looks like it's period. It looks like it's everything to me. I'm not a bat expert, but I know enough where I'm pretty knowledgeable, and to me, everything about it looks right. And there was a crack in the bat, and to me, it would make sense if a ball boy would get anything, he'd get a cracked bat. And a couple of the items that he had condition issues like that. And so I was like, I really think this is something. So I take the card to take the bat, and we have it looked at, and it is a game used bat. The PSA has a bat authenticator by the name of John Tobby, and John, what's interesting, he has an entire he purchased, or they have access to all the Louisville Slugger orders for back to the advent of time or whatever, and he can look and he see the model number, see the weight, see the length, and say, all right, well, he ordered 10 of these bats back in 1955. We'll say, well, that makes sense because this was a ball boy in 56, and if 56, Mantle hit for the Triple Crown, and I think that bat ended up selling for $350,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Life-changing money. Jeez.
Oh yeah, it was spectacular. I loved it.
I mean, with the modern data that we have now, I mean, you imagine, 70 years from now, finding and being able to track it back to a specific game, specific at bat. I mean, that could just increase that value that much more.
It was used at a Senators game. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's interesting because you come across this type of stuff. We had found a monumental collection of O-Pee-Chee cards out of Canada, and one of the items that the marquee piece was a 79 O-Pee-Chee case, unopened case of hockey cards, and with Gretzky's rookie. Yeah. And what had happened was the gentleman who owned the case was in his 90s. He was that weird guy who was an adult collecting sports cards in the 70s. And he brought his kids with him to wherever, and he would buy cases. He'd always buy 2 cases of every year. And he would open up the packs with his kids, and he had his kids collate sets for him, and his kids always talking to the kids look back at it as child labor, because then the dad would then take these sets and then he would sell them to U.S. collectors or trade them with U.S. collectors, and he was sort of that guy who had access to all the O-Pee-Chee stuff, because before the internet, if you want to get an O-Pee-Chee case or box or set or card, you had to know a guy. You had to know a guy in Canada, or you had to drive up to Canada. And so he was that guy. And I guess he never got around to opening this case. And what happened was he's planning on moving. He was moving into an assisted living facility, and him and his son were clearing out boxes, and they had his room, and his room was almost like a hoarder situation. And as they were peeling back boxes, they were finding layers. As they were peeling back boxes, they were finding older and older and older material, and they started to find unopened boxes, unopened cases. And so there was that 79 O-Pee-Chee case, and it sold for $2.4 million. But that wasn't the only thing we found. We found, some. I think there was a 78 baseball case. I think there was a 79 baseball case. We found O-Pee-Chee boxes. We found, take out that 79 case and throw it away. They still did over $1 million worth of other material.
Wow.
And interestingly enough, we're still going through it. We took that in over 2 years ago, and we are still going through this stuff because that's just how much there was.
I remember that news story from 24 when that O-Pee-Chee case came out. In fact, I did a little research as I was writing my questions for you about that. So yeah, you're still going through that 2 years later.
Yeah, we are. If you look at, slowly, there's, drips and drabs. If you look at any of our sales right now, I think that right now if you look at 75 O-Pee-Chee, there's a high grade O-Pee-Chee set that we have because he literally opened cases. So for 75 O-Pee-Chee, I think we had the equivalent of 10 complete sets. And these were sets that he had literally pulled out of boxes.
Is this O-Pee-Chee baseball or hockey?
Baseball.
Oh,
O-Pee-Chee baseball. So for that, we're going through thousands and thousands of cards, and we're picking out, it's not just the low hanging fruit, like the Bretts, George Brett, Yowen, Aaron, Ryan. A lot of times the way that we're able to maximize money, as long as people are okay and understand that it could take a little bit longer, we'll go through and we'll find commons to grade.
Sure.
you can look up in our auction archive like 75 OPG baseball, like PSA 10s. We got some PSA 10s, and they sell for thousands of dollars. So part of the job for us is like, yeah, of course we could rush through it, sell it quickly, and list a 75 OPG baseball horde. But for most people, if I tell them, like, listen, we're going to be doing this, obviously, we started with the more expensive material, and he had received checks in the millions. But, you also have this other stuff. And if you're okay with us taking a while going through that, you're going to get more money if you let us take our time, because going through finding commons to grade, going through building nice sets, and spreading some of the stuff out as well, is what maximizes this. And some people need money and they prefer, now let's just do it as quickly as possible. But a lot of people would say, most people would say, yeah, take your time on it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've been doing. He's had this collection since 1975. I can't imagine he's in too much of a rush. And
what's a couple more years?
Yeah.
What's a couple more years?
Exactly. Now, I'd love to get these people out of here, and we try to move through as quickly as possible while doing the best job we can. But ultimately, we have done very, very well for him, and he has had material in pretty much every single sale of ours for the past 2 years.
That's wild. Yeah, I was looking at the graded, looks like a complete graded set. Maybe it's not complete, but the first few pictures of 71 OPG, I mean, PSA 9 in there, a bunch of 8s, 8.5s. Like, that's
yeah.
For that long, yeah.
And so if I go to we sold in April a 75 OPG set. And keep in mind, this is now like the fourth or fifth set. So the last set we sold of his sold for $12,800. And if you and these are 75. These are 75s. This is for some auction houses. This would be approaching, I don't want to say junk wax, but this would be approaching a period where some auction houses just say we don't want this stuff. But he's done probably $60,000 to $80,000 in 75 OPG loose cards. So when people say, oh well, you probably don't want this, we look at the whole picture and we try to figure out what is actually here. If you have a single 75 OPG set in mid-grade condition, it probably wouldn't be for us. But if you said, hey, listen, I opened up cases of 75 OPG back in 1975 and these are the cards, then you know what? I'm gonna dig into it.
Yeah. Wow.
Because that's fun.
So so digging, I've followed your Instagram page for quite some time. And by the way, Jason _@_heritage, right?
Yep.
Okay. On your Instagram page, you handle cards that 90% of the collectors out there would call grails. Do you get jaded by 52 Mantles and Jackie Robinsons and all that, or does your heart still skip a beat when you see them?
Thankfully not yet. I don't get jaded yet. I don't think anyone gets jaded when they see a 52 Mantle. Even in low grade, there's something about it that just speaks to you. No, I mean, listen, I'm going through 75 OPG cards like I'm a kid in a candy shop. I love this stuff. You can't be doing this job unless you really can properly geek out on some baseball cards. And I'm still that 9-year-old with his face pressed against the window on this stuff. I love it.
Is there any card out there that we as a Joe Schmo collector might not kind of know that's out there that does make you do a double take?
Ooh, so 1958 Topps, there's an error card, Pancho Herrera, where the A in Herrera is missing. It's like one of the first error cards, and I don't know why. Something about that card. Every time I get a 58 top set, and I get a lot of 58 top sets, like I must have at this point written or gone through, 358 top sets. Every single time, bar none, I go to, it's like card like 400 something. I go to the end and try to see, all right, is Pancho Herrera missing? And I've yet to, I'm like 0 for 200. I've yet to see one in the wild. They're not even that, they're valuable. It's like a couple $1,000s, a few $1,000s in nice shape, but it's one of those things where I always will go through and check to see if that is the air cards. Like I go through a 69 set and see if there's any white letters, or I'll go through like a 52 set and check to see the backs of the Johnny Sane and Joe Page, or I'm never going to go through, I don't go through too many 1990 top sets, but if I were to go through 1990 top sets, I would certainly go through and try to see if it had the Frank Thomas error. But no, Pancho Herrera, that is one card I've yet to see in the wild in a set.
I've looked through plenty of 58 and 59 at shows now. I honestly did not know.
You got something else to look for, Mitch.
Yeah, now I got something. It's
like an OG rare error card. It's great. It's just subtly missing the little A at the end. That's for me the card. If anyone says, "Hey, I have a 58 set," I'll always take it in. First thing I'll do is look to see if it has that card missing.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I love digging dollar boxes, and a lot of those things are. I need to educate myself more on those. Just maybe come across something, and maybe I've come across it and just didn't know about it at the time. So, gosh, okay, I got more to learn. Obviously, I always have more to learn, but
we all do. I'm still learning.
I mean, how do other cards get on your? I mean, speaking of learning, I mean, like how are you constantly looking for those, or are you industry resources, or and then I guess conversely, like how do they? First of all, how do you educate yourself? Is it just the old heads out there teaching you more, or?
I do that. I'm fortunate enough to be doing this 24/7. One of the things that I worried about, and that my wife worried about before I took this job, because I had a great job before I went into baseball cards. And I was working actually at Christie's, the auction house Christie's, and I was dealing with FP&A finance. I was in finance, and there was a concern that I would be I would no longer love to do the collecting aspect, or buying and selling, or the flipping, or going through the dollar boxes if I had to do this all day, every day. And thankfully that hasn't been the case at all. But for me, I am tuned into this market. I look at every auction. I look at what competitors are doing. I've will consign with competitors just to see, how their platform works, what they do well, what they don't do well, what we don't do well. And, for me, like tonight, there's an auction ending with a competitor, Fanatics. There's a premiere sale. I'll be watching that to see how the market does. And, it's just, for me, I just love to absorb all this stuff. I still go on the message boards. I still, I'm very, very active on Reddit.
That's personally where I'm most familiar with your work. You get called into somebody, hey, what do I have here, sort of threads.
Yeah, and so I'm still very, very active in all of those communities, and I fortunately, the people who call me up during business hours are calling me up to talk about baseball cards. So I get I have a lot of store owners who work with me, and I love talking to them and understanding what they're going through right now in this environment. I deal with a lot of vintage. My bread and butter has historically been vintage, but I also am, the modern specialist here at Heritage, and I get to see the entire spectrum. But yeah, no, and in terms of where these people come from, where these leads come from, Heritage Auctions, massive website. We get in hundreds of inquiries a day, and those inquiries get divvied up based on specialties or what categories we're talking about or geography. I'm in New York, so if there's someone with a baseball card in New York, chances are that lead is going to be forwarded to me. But we also have offices around the world. I work out of the New York office quite a bit, so people just walk in them, or call in. But recently, I've been doing a lot of business with individuals who are using social media to get information, particularly Reddit. There's a younger demographic where if they have this card collection, either they inherited it, they found it, however they came about it, their first stop isn't to go online and physically call an auction house.
Yeah.
Their first stop isn't even to go and fill out one of those inquiry forms and then wait, anywhere from 48 hours to 2 weeks for someone to get back to you, like, oh, thank you for reaching out to Heritage Auctions. A lot of people, their first inclination is, I'm going to post this on Reddit. There's a lot of subreddits. There's the baseball card subreddit. There's what's this worth, or what is this
card value and
sports cards,
and they post it because it's instant feedback. And I have been very involved in that community before I joined Heritage. I had done this flipping project under my other username at the time, and it was, I think I started with $1,000, and I said, all right, with $1,000, and I cataloged and showed everything, links to what I was buying, links to where I sold it, what the fees were, what I was grading, what I wasn't grading, everything. And every month I would update it. And I think after a year and a half, it was over $25,000. So 25 links. Yeah. And that was what a lot of people knew me for in the baseball card subreddit. And then I joined Heritage. I sort of put that on the back burner, and instead, I come across cool things. So every time I came across something, I'd say, hey, this came across my desk. And people would really respond positively to that, because what I found was no one was really posting a lot of this material in its raw form. So when people see this stuff, finally, they see it in auction catalogs, and by then, that group of 55 Clementes, there might be 10 1955 Topps Clementes. No one will post a photo of 10 raw Clementes for some reason. What they do is they get it graded, they put it into auctions, and you never even know that there were 10 of them. And it's kind of interesting to see 10 of them. So as this stuff was coming across my desk, I'd just take a photo and say, this came across my desk. And people would ask, oh, where are you sending? And I'd tell them, this is going here. What do you think it's worth? I'd tell them. And suddenly people would then start tagging me on stuff like, hey, my grandfather died. We found this in the closet. What's this worth? And then suddenly people would start tagging, like, oh, well, you should reach out to Jason. He'll tell you what it's worth. And sure enough, this is worth this.
Yeah. I mean, I know personally there's been multiple threads where I've see a picture, click on it just to get a better look, and then I've got to go back and look at the username and see if it's
I've done that too. It's like, oh, this is a great card. I bet you Jason does know about this.
Yeah. Yep.
This is Jason's post.
Where did this come from?
I've done that. You talk. You get to field phone calls and talk about baseball cards all day. I field phone calls and talk about ingredients and bread. So
I get spam, are you open?
I'm so jealous. I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Do you find a difference between working with, see, I have a hard time asking this question now. A lot of the folks you're dealing with, especially with the vintage stuff, is people who don't know, having no idea with what they have. So, speaking about people who do know what they have, is there a difference between working with vintage collectors, 80s and 90s collectors, 2000s collectors, ultra modern? Is there a difference between those groups?
There is. The biggest difference I have found has been how quickly they want the process to be. If you pull a Jackson Dart Superfractor out of Topps Chrome, out of the product that was just released,
dropped,
you have to sell. Chances are it's worth more today than it will unless you just want to gamble on Jackson Dart's future, right? And so for a lot of these people, when they get these hits for modern, it has to be moved quickly because what happens is this cycle that we're in is, if you don't sell it before the next product comes out and the next chase card is hyped up, then suddenly you have yesterday's news, right?
Yeah.
And it's not always the case. A lot of this stuff has appreciated in value, and a lot of this stuff, has done very well historically. But, these people are hitting these cards and they want it moved very, very, very quickly. And Heritage is not necessarily, we can move stuff quickly, but we're not set up in that regard the same way as some of these more modern focused auction houses are.
Yeah.
If I give something to Alt, I think it's going to get listed within a week, within a few days, and it's probably going to be sold within 3 weeks. Fanatics Collect, they have weekly sales constantly. And so for modern, it's almost turned these things into widgets to some extent, where I pulled it, I want to sell it, and I want my money so I can then move on to the next product. Rather, vintage guys, these are collectors by the nature of vintage. Some of these collectors have collected this stuff for 70 years. I've dealt with people who have consigned to me 52 Topps Mickey Mantle cards. I have pulled the 52 Topps Mickey Mantle cards from the pack.
Wow.
And so for them, by the very nature of that, they're in no rush. And they understand that, making sure that this is a catalog sale, which involves actually physically writing and distributing and publishing catalogs. Other auction houses have sort of scrapped that because catalogs require a lot of lead time. You need to be able to publish it. You need to be able to write it out, to format, to lay out the catalog, to lay out these books, because they're books. It's like a photo book, and then print it. So Golden could never do an auction catalog again, because they need to be able to systematically just run through these sales. And frankly, for the modern guys, these catalogs aren't really that important. But we have found that on the ultra high end, it does make sense to take a breath. Like, congratulations, you pulled this. This is once in a lifetime pull. You essentially won the lottery on some of this stuff. I've dealt with people who get the 1-of-1 foil fractor, whatever, from Topps now, or who have pulled the supers or the chase cards. And, the first thing you have to tell these people is, congratulations. Now just take a step back, right? Because, like I said earlier, chances are, aside from their house, this is the most expensive thing you will ever sell. And don't feel like you need to be rushed immediately, because there is a little bit of a time horizon that we want to try to capture, but it's very important to make sure that everyone who could possibly be interested in buying this card or bidding on this card has access to bid on this card, knows that it's available, and knows that that it's up for auction. And alts, I think it's 2 week sales. For us, they're longer. It could be 3+ weeks. Sometimes we have over 4-week auctions, and we have preview events. We have a cocktail reception in Manhattan for our Platinum Nights. It's open to the public. We have preview events in Dallas, Beverly Hills, Chicago. We do outreach. We don't just capture the typical sports collector clientele, but Heritage does 50+ categories. We're the world's largest coin auction house and the world's largest comic auction house. We're one of the largest art auction houses. And so, finding the atypical bidder is more important than finding the typical bidder, because the typical bidders bid with Heritage, they bid with Fanatics, they bid with Golden, they bid with all these places. But finding the other guy that isn't signed up to all those who isn't on social media for following just the typical crowd, those are the people that you want to make sure you find. And so it's very, very, very important when dealing with the modern crowd. If it's ultra modern where they just hit this thing, if it's above a certain price point, you just have to tell them, take a step back. If it's I hit a Jackson Dart gold refractor, then frankly just get that thing on eBay and move on to the next thing. But yeah, and the vintage guys are great because it's usually an older crowd. They usually love seeing the catalog. They love knowing that we will take our time to do everything right.
Great answer. I love it. It's great. It's
Marketing,
awesome.
Casting the widest net that you possibly
Right.
can to find that one collector, which is might be hiding under a rock somewhere. Didn't given up hope that they were ever going to find that card or that piece of memorabilia or whatever.
Yeah, and what you'll find is a lot of times these collectors who are buying these very, very, very valuable cards aren't as liquid as you might think. There are some people out there who, especially those guys who collect like 90s, 2000s cards. So some of those guys who collect Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, where these cards were worth maybe a fraction of what they're worth now. I deal with a lot of these guys who might have millions of dollars in cards, but can't cut a $50,000 check to save their life, just because they happen to buy all of these cards when they were as collectors, and they don't really like to sell stuff, and now their collection's just worth a fortune, a literal fortune. And so another thing that's great about auction houses is, with eBay, essentially you have I think they charge a credit card immediately now, or you have a couple days to pay.
Yeah.
With auction houses, we work very closely with these guys, and we've come up with different arrangements on how they can pay. You can pay with consignments. You can pay with we'll put you on a plan. Because it's important to be able to work with everyone and get as many people involved in these sales as possible.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm just over here smiling about, pay with consignments, eh?
There is a card in your upcoming auction that might require somebody to require those services. Could you first tell me? It made news when the card was found, but I know for a fact not everyone has heard it. So could you recount what happened at the Dallas card show?
Yes. I'm assuming you're talking about the Aaron Judge Superfractor.
In fact, I am.
Yeah. So what had happened was a gentleman had walked into the Dallas card show, and he had the intention of selling his childhood collection. And he was he's a older gentleman, and his childhood collection is 50s and 60s, a lot of football, and so and some baseball. And so what he did was he walked into the Dallas card show. He found, I guess, a couple vintage dealers. He talked to one in particular, and he said, I have this collection, I'm looking to sell it. He was local, and the dealer came to his house to look at the collection, and he bought it. It was a fine collection, nothing to write home about. But then this dealer had said, do you have anything else? Do you have any other cards? Which is a great question to ask anytime you're in a house and you're dealing with consignments or potentially buying items. That doesn't hurt to say, do you have anything else? And so the guy said, well, I have some modern cards from when he had pulled cards with his kid. And he had done a little bit of some due diligence of pricing this stuff up, and he priced it up maybe a couple of years prior, and he put prices on what he thought these things were. And the first card was the 2017 Bowman Chrome Superfractor Aaron Judge, 1 of 1, first Bowman card.
2013?
2013, sorry. 2017 is his rookie year. 2013, you're right. Bowman Chrome Superfractor, non-auto. And the price I believe he had on the back was $5,000 to $10,000, because he couldn't find exactly what parallel this was, and he found one that looked similar, and so he came up with $5,000 to $10,000. And the dealer had the card in his hand, and he saw the $5,000 to $10,000, and I think he said, so would you take $25,000 for this? And before the guy could respond, I've talked to both sides of this, and the story's a little bit different whoever you talk to, but the owner said that he accepted, or he would have accepted. But if you talk to the dealer said, I didn't let him respond. Before he could answer, I said, don't sell this to me. You should talk to an auction house. And so, long story short, he ended up consigning this. He ended up consigning this to us. And the timing couldn't have been any better, because obviously Judge is having a great year, but then the autograph version of this card sold privately for over $5 million.
Just sitting in a binder, right?
Yeah, sitting in a box.
Sitting in a box. All right.
Yeah. All the best cards, by the way, all the best missing cards are sitting in boxes.
Did you handle this card personally? Have you touched it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I've touched it. I've touched it raw, and I've touched it graded. And actually now it is not only graded, but it is in it's in a PSA 9 holder, and we showed it to Mike Baker, MBA, and it got a gold label.
Nice.
So yeah, there you go. Estimate, I think it's 400,000.
Okay. Is that headlining the upcoming auction?
Yeah. So that's I think there's a couple marquee pieces in terms of baseball cards. That's probably the heavy hitter.
Okay.
There's a few big ones. There's a Gaudy Ruth, I think an 8 in the sale. I know. Let's see. Now that you have me, I might as well stump for our upcoming May 15th to 17th auction.
May as well.
There's that. There's a Messi card. We have a $500,000 Messi card, a Lionel Messi. Yeah, the Gaudy Ruth is a PSA 8. That one also has a gold label, a gold sticker. We have a Jackie Robinson, 55 top Jackie Robinson, a 9, 51 Bowman Mantle, and an SGC 8, and then we have a signed 51 Bowman Mantle. So there's some real heavy. Actually, probably my favorite card in the entire sale. We have a 1999 Upper Deck game jersey, Griffey, PSA 10. It's the only PSA 10 of this card, and so. I'm very interested to see where this one ends, because to me this is the grail for Griffey, or one of them.
I'm not going to argue, because that's a good one.
Yeah.
I was actually looking at that auction, saw the 89 Bowman 10 auto for Griffey.
Yep.
Yeah, Dan. You should see it. It's good looking.
And what's interesting is, so going back to the Aaron Judge, is for 2013 Bowman Chrome, they actually made 3 Superfractors. So they had the autograph version, which sold for the $5 million. They had the non-autograph version, which is in this auction, but then they also had minis. They had a mini set that came out in sets, and the mini Superfractor is also in this auction. The guy who had the mini saw the press and the Instagram posts and the social media about the Superfractor find, and he reached out to us and he said, "Hey, I have the mini Superfractor." So if you actually look up Aaron Judge 2013 Bowman Chrome on our website, you'll see 2 Superfractors, the full size and then the mini.
Wow. It just, yes, the best cards that it's crazy the amount of cards that are out there that people don't know about, because this card is one of the great lost cards from the last 15 years, essentially.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I know that people speculate, oh, this type of stuff is probably still in hobby boxes. It really isn't. You know, the if you look at the amount as a percentage of these boxes that have been opened, it's got to be, you know, the Steph Curry card. Everyone loves to talk about.
That's where I was headed
Superfractor. I would imagine at this point 98% of the sealed product from that set has been opened. It's sitting in a binder. It's sitting in a binder or in a box somewhere, because if you know that card, if you've seen a Superfractor from that year, they actually don't look incredibly different from just like the regular Chrome. You'd have to look at it a little bit closer.
Really,
it's not as vibrant as like the 2013 Bowman Chrome for the Judge. It looks a little bit different. But like, you know, I deal with these people. It's like PMGs. No one knew what these PMGs were when they were opening up these packs. And I deal with people who come across PMG reds and greens all the time. I come across people who, there's a great one guy walked into the National, and he saw something about how Tom Brady cards were picking up in Steam, and he had he's like, you know, I remember opening up 2000 Bowman, and he found a 2000 Bowman gold /99 Tom Brady rookie, and it was his jersey number 12/99, and we sold it for like $250,000. You know, this stuff is still out there, and you know, every year this something spectacular pops up, and there's just one day, probably not that far in the future, that I think that Steph Curry card gets found.
I tend to agree with you. Jason, I've got about 15,000 more questions, but I don't know if we have the time to do it. So thank you very much. This is enlightening and entertaining as all hell. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Well, that was a good episode, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I've got so many more. I mean, I want to pick his brain more on error cards, and I'm a sucker for error cards as well. But yeah. All
right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I'm the baker.
I'm the brewer.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. Have a good day.
That was the Brewer and the Baker of Baseball Card Podcast. Thanks for listening, and be excellent to each other.